We'll talk about lightsabers later. I'm John Berry and welcome to my spoiler review of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Try to say that properly and I don't think I can. But yes, this is my review of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Yesterday I put out my spoiler-free review of the movie, so if you have not seen the movie and you want to hear my thoughts, go check that video out. But in summary, I enjoyed the film and I encourage you to go see it if you have not yet done so already. With that out of the way, let's get into my review of The Rise of Skywalker. And, again, spoiler warning. If you are still here after I finish this sentence, there will be spoilers. Okay? Okay. So, you have been warned, you will be spoiled in this review. If you have not yet done so, remember I have a spoiler-free review. I encourage you to see the film before getting any opinion on it, even before watching my spoiler-free review, but I put it out there for those who can't wait. But let's actually get into it. I have a sheet of notes here, front and back, so I should be good. Actually, it's not all my thoughts, just the thoughts I wrote down because I really wanted to cover what I have on this sheet of paper. So I think I should address this aspect of the film first, the humor. Nearly every single joke was perfect for me. I didn't feel lost with any of them, they were spot on. None of them I thought was too cringy. Every now and then there's one like, okay. But no bad jokes. The Last Jedi I think had more jokes that fell flat for me. I did enjoy the humor in The Last Jedi, but the humor here landed better. And there's some pretty good moments. Actually, the first one involves Poe and a flashlight. So, they are on Persona and they get into a dark environment. And, well, Poe gets out Poe gets out his flashlight and turns it on, but because you actually saw this in some of the previews, or images at the very least, where Poe had his flashlight and somebody photoshopped it to look like he was holding a lightsaber. Well, let's remember, Rey was in there with the Skywalker lightsaber. She turns it on, Poe grabs his flashlight, and does this. And then it's like anticlimactic. Kind of like how that just felt in this with the story. But it's an anticlimactic moment, but it is the perfect joke. He's holding it like a lightsaber and turns it on. Isn't that what we've all done? I think we've all at least once have gotten a flashlight, turned it on and pretended it was a lightsaber before. So yeah, I just love that moment especially because kind of that people kind of jokingly Photoshop that image just for whatever reason. Some because they just wanted to have a good fun, some because they wanted to poke fun at the movie, whatever reason. But in the movie they actually did a joke involving a very similar scene with Poe holding his lightsaber, or torch if you're in the UK, like a lightsaber, and he turns it on, and then Rey, I think Rey, might have been Finn, but looks at him like, were you expecting something else? And I just loved that scene. It was probably the best moment of humor in the entire film, in my opinion. We had some other good moments in humor too, but that, in my opinion, was my favorite. Just because the punchline is so anticlimactic in a way. It's like, the joke isn't anticlimactic, but the moment is anticlimactic, which turns it into some good humor, in my opinion. So, I got a lot here. Most of this stuff has to do with Rey's and Ben's plot lines, and I said Ben on purpose. So I think I'm going to talk about some of the other characters beforehand. We discover that Finn is not the only First Order Stormtrooper to have rejected the First Order programming and deserted. The character Janna, we discover, is also a former Stormtrooper, and it was her entire company that broke the programming. On their ship, they refused to fire into civilians for the reason. It was a feeling. No coordinated effort, they just all did not. It's kind of, look at how Finn was in The Force Awakens. He had a bit more, I think, confusion before that moment, but that was the moment that did it for him. Which I think is pretty interesting to take a note at. But they both basically, in the film especially, but even looking back at The Force Awakens, it was a feeling that made them decide. And it was something they did just spur of the moment, no pre-planning, they just did it. And of course with Jaina and all her companions, they were enough of them that they could basically mutiny, and they crash landed on the moon of Endor. Oh, not the first moon of Endor, but another moon of Endor nevertheless. The one where all the Death Star wreckage is. Yeah. And another thing is C-3PO's programming. We discover prevents him from reading and he can read, but he cannot translate ancient Sith ruins. Like he identifies them and he can actually translate them, but he cannot translate them. And that's why they go to Barbara Frick, so they can basically rip the information out of his memory. And he loses all his memory. So that was that moment in the trailer where C-3PO said, I'm just taking one final look at my friends. That was that moment though. Very emotional, and there's some humor of course with C-3PO. He's always a good character for humor. But it's kind of neat. And actually, and R2-D2 we discovered keeps backups of all of C-3PO's memories. Now, I wish they had just thrown in a line after R2-D2 re-uploaded C-3PO's memory to him up to the point where they left to go on their mission initially, which C-3PO now doesn't remember. But so that's a point in the movie. I wish C-3PO made some kind of comment like, wait a second, did you upload some even older memories? Or something like that. C-3PO actually does make a joke about R2-D2 being unreliable, but you can tell that they're good friends. It's like in the minute he gets his memories back, he's back to himself. Like fully back to himself. But even though his personality doesn't change too much, but it's kind of interesting nevertheless. But I would have loved just some callback to some prequel stuff through it, like he said, somehow remembering that, no, just comment to Leia, I remember your mother. Something as simple as that, he can say, I know I didn't remember it before, but I remember it now. I just wished, that is one complaint, a minor complaint, but I wish they had did that. Unfortunately, they did not do it that, and I understand why. That would have been way too much to pack in an already very tight film. But I did like the idea that his programming is preventing him from translating something, his programming. So that tells you something. Apparently, droids are not allowed to translate ancient Sith ruins. Who would have thought? And also it's good to know that his memories are safe in R2-D2, even though C-3PO kind of considers them unreliable. I will get to the ending real quick, but yeah, there's a lot of good moments. A good moment with Chewbacca that I felt was the emotional heart of the film. For me, some people might disagree. It's probably the most relatable moment of the film for everyone involved. Or at the very least, even if you haven't experienced it personally, you can understand it, as long as you're not a social or psychopath. While some of the other more emotional moments can be emotional and relatable to somebody, but they're more specific. So, now what should I talk about next? Rey, Ben, Palpatine, the ending, Rey again, Luke, Jedi, Force. What should I talk about next? Well, we should just get this out of the way with. We discover Rey's ancestry. And we learn why Rey's parents were nobodies. They are nobodies because they chose to be nobodies. And they did it to protect Rey from her grandfather. Okay, everyone who was calling Rey a Palpatine, you guys were correct. But she rejects it. She does reject it. Which is what I was getting at too, that someone who has a black sheep in their family, an ancestor, they can feel related. They can relate to Rey on this regard. It's a struggle for her, but she does reject Palpatine and the dark side, thanks to Ben. And So she does do that. That's going to be relatable to somebody. I suspect this might have been a bit more relatable about, 2-3 decades after World War II in a certain country. Or even possibly 2 certain countries. Though one has apologized fully and the other one, well, we're not going to discuss that, shall we? But, yeah, it's like, people can have, an ancestor that's just downright despicable and they don't want anything to do with it, but at the same time they feel pressured to take up the mantle of that ancestor. That's often what goes in here, and Rey struggles. She struggles with this. That's like her story, like, she is struggling. And actually, we do get some, before Rey learns about this, we do get some moments about kind of hinting that this struggle is coming on. Pisana, the First Order has captured Chewbacca, and Rey is trying to pull the transport that she thinks Chewbacca is on. He's not, but she doesn't know that. She doesn't know that. Ben doesn't know that. Nobody knows that except for some First Order, but Ben doesn't know that either, I believe. But she's trying to pull that transport down, and Force Lightning comes out of her hands as she's struggling with Kylo, who's like battling her in the Force to let the transport go. And Force Lightning comes out of her hands, destroys the transport, and she thinks she's accidentally killed Chewie. It's like, this is a very emotional moment for her, and I think for us too, I was like, hey, Chewie's not dead. No. He's alive in the wreckage, but severely wounded or something. And it turns out he was actually just captured and on a different transport. And when when they get to where Babu Frick is, Rey actually senses Chewbacca still alive with the Force, and you can see and hear the joy in her face and on her face and in her voice. You can see that, like, she didn't, like it's a moment of light for her, which probably does help her. We don't get any confirmation, but I think does help her with her struggle. But at the same time, we get 2 occurrences of her using Force Heal. This is the first time we know that the power has been used in the films, and for the casual audience, this is the first time they're seeing Force Heal used. Though, to all of us who have Disney Plus and have been watching The Mandalorian, we know that Baby Yoda did it Wednesday. So, very coincidental timing. I wonder if that was on purpose or not. Or was it just a coincidence? But regardless, we see Rey use Force Heal. First on a kind of a serpent snake-like creature, slugs, worm-like, I don't know what kind of creature on Pisana. That was like the film's, I would say, crazy creature moment, which every Star Wars film has. But here, it's a subvert of the expectations. Think about that. This is actually probably, I think, the first time where the creature is, well, not an enemy. Rey uses Force Heal, heals the creature. Force Heal is a distinctly a light side ability, and the creature clears a path for them so they can get out of the tunnels that they are stuck in. Which I think is actually a very interesting message to show. We haven't seen really Force Heal on such a scale before. We see it again, this time with Ben, and this is on that moon of Endor, that Jan is on in the Death Star wreckage. Kylo, at this point, and Rey are in the lightsaber duel. They were trying to... Rey was there to retrieve a relic that would lead them to where Palpatine is, so they could destroy his fleet of Imperial 1 Star Destroyers that each have a super cannon capable of blowing up a planet. I did think that was a bit cheesy, but it was a bit cheesy. Super weapons are a bit tiring, but it kind of makes sense. Like, he had enough ISDs, Imp 1s, for like every single planet in the galaxy, is my guess. And his goal was literally to destroy the galaxy. That's essentially, I think, what his plan was. And because, but these are also way more vulnerable than any other super weapon. They just have the power, like, as long as they, once you get through the shields and hit the cannon, those Star Destroyers go up. Like, they're very unstable. You don't need it's not going to be a 1 in a million shot. You just got to make sure that the shields deactivate it and you can destroy it, no problem. And probably even, it's like, if you can take down Imp Star Destroyer, you can take down one of these. It's actually interesting how they did that. But getting back to Rey, so during the duel, there comes to, at this point, Leia decides that she senses this going on in the Force and decides that she will reach out to Ben one final time to convince him. And this is Ben's transformative moment in here. This is when Ben redemption truly begins in the film. The hints of it are in previous scenes, but this is when it becomes a definitive thing. And, well, what does he do? He, literally, when he senses his mother reaching out to him, he just stops. This gives Rey the opportunity to knock his lightsaber out, grab it, and use it to stab him. And then, the second later, she not only has realized what she's done, but senses Leia. And then she uses Force Seal to heal what would have been a mortal wound of a mortal lightsaber stab. Maybe he could have survived using the dark side of the Force, but the thing is, the dark side of the Force would not have healed him. He would have been damaged. Think of this. The dark side, we've seen this, can use pure hate to stay alive when they should have died. That's probably half the reason why Emperor Palpatine stayed alive. The other is real technological things which they only alluded to but never actually shown. And we see more pure rage is what kept him alive. But here, Rey calms herself and heals Kylo Ren. And when we look at her using these insanely powerful abilities, Force Heal, distinctly light, Force Lightning, distinctly dark, she uses Heal twice, once before and once after she uses Force Lightning. Something I've noticed is kind of interesting to say the very least, and I think is alluding to she uses the light, then she gives into the dark, but she ultimately will come to the light in the end. It's foreshadowing what we will be seeing later in the film. But of course after this, she feels like she can't trust herself anymore, so she steals Kylo's TIE Fighter and goes to Acto and burns it. Which includes another one of the artifacts that would have led them to Palpatine. The first one Kylo destroyed, because basically he did not want her going to Palpatine without him, because his idea was not to kill Rey like Palpatine claimed to want, but to go with Rey on the dark side and basically defeat the Emperor themselves and control and take over for the Emperor. Which is what the Emperor wants out of Rey. I'm just saying. But, yeah. She takes that and goes to Acto and she destroys. Basically, she wants to strand herself there much like Luke did. And this is where we get Luke's Force Ghost. And actually, Luke's appearance and role in here remind me very much of Obi-Wan in Return of the Jedi. Basically, giving our hero the pep talk they needed to go face the darkest challenge yet. For Luke, that was going to face his father. Granted, he was still convinced that Vader could be redeemed, and Vader was redeemed. No, but Rey, she still has a struggle to overcome, but she now knows she has to face Palpatine. She has to do it. She knows she can't sit idle by anymore. She can no longer return to Jakku. And she was on Jakku to protect her from Palpatine. Many people thought her being on Jakku was somehow connected to Palpatine. They were right. Just, they probably didn't figure that she was on Jakku to hide her from Palpatine. Man, that's very similar to Luke, who was hidden on Tatooine to hide him from Vader, while Leia got the hiding in plain sight approach. But yeah, I really loved this moment. Luke gives her a pep talk and all of that. I wish she could have maybe done a little more alluding maybe to Return of the Jedi and that, but alas, they did not do that. But I did like what they did. The whole scene kind of mirrored it, but it's very different because we know Palpatine cannot be redeemed. So Rey just needs to go to face her fears of herself, of the dark side. She needs to face those fears and overcome them. She needs that pep talk. While Luke just needed to basically get everything set straight for him and confirm and all that. Because we also do get from a certain point of view kind of moment where, well, it was Kylo who told Rey that she was the granddaughter of Palpatine. Palpatine had a son at some point. I hope this was when he was still a Supreme Chancellor and before he was Emperor, because anyone who hooked up with Palpatine at that point, oh man, they must have been desperate for power or something. But her parents hired her to protect her from Palpatine, so obviously Palpatine's son knew something. Knew more that Palpatine was not what he seemed. And so yeah, they hit her. There was something. But so yeah, back to Acto, and that's going on, and we get a callback to The Empire Strikes Back. If you remember in Empire Strikes Back, Luke's X-Wing, the same X-Wing by the way, is in the swamps of Dagobah, basically trapped, and Yoda instructs Luke to use the Force to raise it out. Luke reaches his arm out and says, "I can't, it's too heavy." And then Yoda goes and does it, and Luke says, "That's impossible," and blah blah blah. And Yoda responds, "That is why you fail." A very, I think, sobering moment for Luke. His belief that it was impossible prevented him from doing it. Now, I wish he had given Rey the same opportunity here, but I think it was important that he did it, even as a Force Ghost, which is kind of funny. And actually, this I think this a lot shows that, you know, Luke has overcome his fears that we saw in The Last Jedi, which I think is very important. Some people might interpret this as disregarding what Rian Johnson did, but I think it's kind of perfect. Because remember, in Last Jedi, Luke's fear of basically of the dark side in Kylo Ren and his own failures basically caused him to want to abandon the Jedi altogether. And then Rey comes along, he tosses the lightsaber back, and we all were like shocked at that. And here in the Rise of Skywalker, Rey has that lightsaber, and she goes to throw it into the burning TIE Fighter wreckage, in order to basically destroy it and strand herself on Acto, very much like Luke. Luke catches it, and he responds like, "That's not how you treat such an important weapon," or something. And I kind of wish they had a little exchange about, you tossed it over your shoulder when I came and gave it to you. But I think though, the rest of the conversation kind of addresses that. It addresses how basically Luke's now, he's one with the Force. He understands. Like, he knows it was his fear he was acting on. His fear of failure, his fear of screwing up. Now, he's conquered his fear. Something that Rey still needs to do in the film, and she does later on. We'll get to that. But, so Luke now, after all that, he raises the X-Wing out of the ocean of Acto. He raises it up, and the camera cuts to Luke, and he kind of like gets a smile and a wink into the camera, like, "I guarantee you, that was not for Rey. That was for us, the audience." Like, I did it this time. Yes, I did. I've overcome what held me back in Empire Strikes Back. I truly have. It was for us, the audience, not for Rey. I don't even know if Rey saw it, but that idea, like, he did it. He overcome basically all his fears. He's finally done that. And I think that picks up nicely with the story in The Last Jedi, where his fears had driven him to exile and isolation. He's now fully overcome all his fears. Yes, he's a Force Ghost and one with the Force and all that, but he's finally overcome it. And he shares that message with Rey about Jedi, basically what Jedi do. They confront fear. It's not they ignore fear, which is what the Jedi of the prequel trilogy did. They attempted to ignore and suppress fear. But this brings up to the Yoda's episodes of the second to last season of the Clone Wars, so the Lost Mission series as it was called. Well, he learned about becoming Force Ghost, and what did he learn? It was not about suppressing his feel, but about basically dealing with it. And another way of putting it is overcoming the fear and not letting it control you in any way. Even if you don't give it power, by not giving it power, it still can control you by you doing everything you can to avoid it. Yoda learned that he needs not to give his fear power, but he can't do it by ignoring it. He has to confront his fear. And that's, I think, a lot of what he was trying to teach Luke on Dagobah. Luke, I think, failed in that. That is why you failed. He failed to live his X-Wing because his fears, he was not able to do it. That's very similar to do or do not. There is no choice. Basically, if you try, you have this fear that you are going to fail. You can still try. You may or may not succeed, but the idea of you guys should confront your fear rather than ignore your fear. That's what more about what it means to be a Jedi, is the message in here. And I think it does pick up with some of the other properties of Star Wars we have seen. And Rey still needs to learn this message. It's not fully sunk in for her, but it does. It truly does. And, well, where was it? Yeah. And so Rey goes off. She takes the burnt wreckage of the artifact that Kylo was using to find the Emperor and takes it in Luke's X-Wing to go to find the Emperor. And let's just direct back to what the Resistance is doing, and Leia specifically. And actually, I'll take this moment to talk about Leia as a whole. First of all, her attempt to reach out to Kylo, which does succeed, or should I say reach out to Ben, does succeed, but it drains her and she dies. But her body's still there. And I'll get to that later on, so I'll bring that back up, of course. So, they're there, and this is also shortly after C-3PO gets his memories restored by R2-D2, and he comes like, no, Leia, or Princess Leia, I think he's saying. I don't think he's saying Jedi, I think he's saying Princess Leia, or just Princess. But I think he says something like, I think R2-D2's some things are crossed, because he says he's receiving a transmission from Master Luke. He's receiving a transmission from Luke's X-Wing, from Rey, who's feeding them information, so navigational information, so that they can follow her to destroy Emperor Palpatine's Sith fleet. Which I think is just, it's a neat way of doing it. Really tie in Red 5. And they actually, I'll skip to the end real quick, but at the end is when, because Rey does survive, I will say that. But when it comes out, I think Poe means Red 5 is here or something like that, and then I think mentions Rey's name, if I remember correctly, but they were more specific, I think, talking about the X-Wing. But speaking of the X-Wing, when Rey lands on the, basically it's like the ancient throne world of the Sith, Edgem, something beginning with an E, I forget, it's not Moorband, it's a new one, but this is, Moorband's like the tombs, this is the throne world. But she lands the X-Wing, Kylo is still stuck, he's stuck on that moon of Endor. They gave her a name, but I forgot it. He takes a TIE fighter, an Imperial era TIE fighter, to return to that planet. He's redeemed at this point. He's redeemed. But before he does that, he has a conversation with his father. Or should I say, the memory of his father. He says that outright. But like, it's after his mother has contacted him once again. He's like, he's nearly there. He is nearly there, but he draws upon the memory of his father. Like, his father manifests before him, but I suspect he's the only one who's seeing anything. Much like a Force Ghost, but this is all from the power of his memory. And he knows that. But I think the reason why it's done this way is so, one, we can have some callbacks to the Force Awakens, but also, like, the idea he needed to visualize his own struggle to return to the light side of the Force. And he does. It mirrors his scene with his father in The Force Awakens. he takes off his helmet. He leaves it there, I guess, and we don't see it ever again after all this. I forget when he took it off, seriously, on that plane, but he does. He doesn't put it back on. But he talks with his father. The lines echo themselves from The Force Awakens. But he gets out his lightsaber, but instead of stabbing his father, he throws it away, what he should have done in The Force Awakens. He should have done that, but there's a difference. His mother had yet to personally reach out to Ben. Ben, his mother, had not yet reconnected. If they had, he might have been redeemed in The Force Awakens. Just something to consider. But then he steals a TIE fighter and goes through. How he did that without a hyperdrive, I don't know. Bit of a gripe, I got to admit. But my theory is he used the Force. And before you say, that's not how the Force works, well, there's a lot we don't know about the Force. And besides, he's the son of Han Solo. He probably knows a thing or two about how to install a hyperdrive onto a ship. And we did see in Legends that it was possible to do that. In fact, the Young Jedi Knights book series, yeah, I have it. Oh, I have a bookmark in it. Anyhow, in this book we get a TIE fighter that's stranded and damaged on Yavin 4, and we follow the adventures of Han and Leia's Legends children, Jaina and Jason, and well, Jaina is able to install a hyperdrive onto that TIE fighter. So, it's all responsible. He salvaged a hyperdrive from a shuttle and installed it on the TIE fighter. But the main reason why I think they went with that decision is, I believe, so that way they could have that shot of a T-65 X-Wing and a TIE fighter sitting next to each other. The original trilogy starfighters, the iconic starfighters. It was just a beautiful shot of those two ships sitting next to each other. The dark side and the light. It was really perfect. It really was. One thing I did forget to mention, we discovered in this movie that Leia has her own lightsaber. Or she did, but like she had a vision of the Force and that and gave it to Luke, who kept it with him on Acto. He disassembled his green lightsaber, but he kept Leia's lightsaber hidden, which he gives to Rey when she was on Acto. So she has the two lightsabers made by Skywalkers, Luke/Anakin's lightsaber and Leia's lightsaber, which she takes with her to confront the Emperor. And Kylo doesn't have a lightsaber on this. See where this is going? I just love this. Like, she's going to give the Skywalker lightsaber to Kylo, isn't she? Isn't she? She does. She does. But it's done neat. Throughout the film, if you remember from the Last Jedi, they were forced Skyping each other, for lack of a better term. And one of the last ones, Kylo gets wet from the ocean on Acto, even though he was nowhere near Acto, and it's kind of interesting. When here, it's taken to the next level. It's really building off the Last Jedi. In that regard, there's even one point where they're fighting each other without being in the same room, and it's quite neat. And he figures where she was when Darth Vader's helmet hit the ground, like, you're in my quarters. So interesting. His quarters are the whitest part of the Star Destroyer that Chewbacca's being captured on. So that shows how he's not dark side yet. Which is another hint at his redemption. And actually, early in the film, he takes a necklace that Rey was given on Pasaana when they go to that festival. That's held once every 42 years. Quite lucky, as they all remarked. But he does that, and that's how they're able to track where the Force was able to track. But and this goes to the point where at the very end, the last time they do it, Rey she has it behind her back, about to strike Palpatine, or so Palpatine thinks, and she brings her hand up, it's gone. Cut back to Kylo. He's now holding the Skywalker lightsaber. He said that lightsaber belonged to him in The Force Awakens, and he actually has it now. But he could not get it until he was redeemed. Very, very poetic in my opinion, but that's kind of jumping ahead to the end of Rey's struggle. But speaking of the Festival on Persona, there's the character who actually gave for that necklace asked, what's Rey's name, and she responded Rey, and the character responded with her first name and family name, and that character then asked Rey, what's your family name? Through CPO translating, and Rey says, just Rey, meaning she doesn't have a family name. And this is actually before she discovers that she's related to Palpatine, that she's a Palpatine. But let's go back to earlier, but she does reject the Palpatine name. She does. She adopts another name, which you might be able to figure out, but that spoils the very ending of the film, but she does confront Palpatine, much like Luke confronted Vader. And actually, Palpatine makes the remark that, your father's not here to save you like Vader was here to save Rey. He worded it, Vader was here to save Luke, not Rey. So very similar there. But yeah, she's confronting Palpatine, and Palpatine wants her to strike him down and to take his place as Empress of the Galaxy. And there's a bunch of all the Sith live in him. And I think that connects kind of nicely to what the rule of Chewie intended, that each Sith would get stronger and stronger till the ones finally strong enough to take over the galaxy. That's what we're seeing the fulfillment of here. Rey does not strike Palpatine down at all. She's tempted to, much like Luke was tempted to, but she rejects. Ben is the key, I think, to that. Because in this film, they're explaining there are diodes in the Force, basically. They're both super strong in the Force. The granddaughter of Palpatine and the grandson of Anakin Skywalker. And together, they don't strike down Palpatine, but together they give each other strength and are able to finish Palpatine off. There's lots of weird things going on in all where Palpatine is. Still don't know quite how he's alive, but he's barely alive until he basically somehow drains the power of both Rey and Ben, and that gives him enough power and ability to basically reforge his body through the Force. And then of course he uses his Force lightning at one point to try to basically destroy the Resistance. Oh man, it is crazy. And this is after he's basically done like that to Kylo, or to Ben and Rey, basically drained them so much they're so tired and exhausted they physically can't get up. Ben gets up first and is basically thrown down the cliff. Is he dead? No, he's not. But it's actually important why he's not there. And actually Rey is using Leia's lightsaber doing all this because Kylo has Luke's lightsaber / Anakin's lightsaber. And they're confronting Palpatine. Of course, it doesn't go well for them, as I said earlier, but at one point Rey she connects with the Force, fully with the light side of the Force, and is able to rise and take her steps. And what does she do? She's able to she's using Leia's lightsaber and she's able to deflect the Force lightning of Palpatine, who stops his attack on the Resistance, which gives the Resistance time to, destroy the Star Destroyers. And so she's defending it, and then she force pulls the Skywalker lightsaber, and she's using both of them kind of like this, inching closer, and lightning is getting reflected back on Palpatine. And that's what does in. She only deflects. She's using 2 lightsabers to deflect Palpatine's Force lightning back at him, and that's what does him in. He is the instrument of his own demise. So if Anakin had hey, Mace Windu, grab my lightsaber, use both of them, Mace Windu might have actually defeated Palpatine. It's this kind of it was getting disfigured. Was that supposed to be metaphorically or actually? This film kind of suggests he was actually being destroyed in that scene. That Anakin could have helped Windu to destroy the Sith in that moment if he had not given into his fear. He let his fear control him. He didn't, deal with it and overcome his fear. And that, granted, you got the whole question about the chosen one, but the prophecy was misread. And actually, maybe he was the chosen one who started it. Alex of Star Wars Explained often says, like, he's interpreted the Skywalker saga as a story of how this one family basically messed up the galaxy for everyone else. But what if it's not that? What if it's a story of how one family messed up Palpatine's plans? Think about it. Anakin is born of the Force, a virgin birth, if you will. Is it true? We don't know, but that's what we are told and what everyone believes. He's believed to be the chosen one. And he's training to be a Jedi, but Palpatine corrupts him. Palpatine manipulates his fears, and Anakin is not able to give in, or is not able to overcome his fears. He lets the fear control him. But at the same time, the Force does work in interesting ways. We got Padme. Padme hooks up with Anakin. They have twins. Were they supposed to be twins? I don't know. But those twins, one of them has Ben. See where this is all going? The Skywalkers basically have been a thorn in Palpatine's side ever since Luke was born. And let's be real, if maybe it wasn't misread, maybe it was just misinterpreted. Basically, if Anakin had not given in to the fear, Palpatine would have probably been destroyed and the Sith ended then and there. But it took some time. It took time. Where am I going with this? Well, simple. Luke comes along. Well, he messes up with the first Death Star. He distracts Vader and the Emperor on the second Death Star, which allowed the Rebels to win. He redeemed Vader, so Vader couldn't take over. And Vader throws Palpatine down a shaft, which many people saw as finalizing the prophecy, but who knows what happens there. And then Leia Han hook up. They have Ben, and Ben is there. And, well, his mother's last uses the Force to reach out to Ben, saves Ben, which saves Rey, and Rey rejects Palpatine, which allows Rey to be the one to finally end Palpatine. Many people just, kind of theorize, could Rey have been the reincarnation of Anakin Skywalker? Maybe, or a clone. But I like the idea. Maybe not a literal reincarnation, but the metaphorical reincarnation. Like, everything that Anakin was supposed to do, Rey did. She took up the mantle. She literally finished what Anakin started. Kylo couldn't do it. He couldn't do it by himself. She couldn't do it by himself. They needed each other. This idea of the dipoles is kind of in the Force is kind of weird, I'll admit. But I think it is what it was needed. You needed somebody who was insanely powerful in the Force to basically be grown up in such a way to not idolize the dark side of the Force, who can stay in the light, has emotional maturity in the light to do so, and to overcome the struggle, to overcome her fears. Well, she just needed somebody in the Skywalkers, maybe not Skywalkers literally, but she needed somebody to make sure she stays on the light side. Like, what would have happened if Kylo never arrived on that Thorn World, the Sith Thorn World? Would Rey have struck down Palpatine, giving in to the dark side? It's something to wonder. So, I think, instead of saying the Skywalker saga is the saga of how the Skywalkers have messed up the galaxy, it's a story of how the Skywalkers saved the galaxy by messing up the Sith grand plan. So maybe that's what the Chosen One prophecy was about. Not about an individual who would destroy the Sith, but about a family who just gives the Sith are sick, but the Sith just so much trouble that they will fail. Something to consider, and the idea that Rey was born after Vader had died, so the Force was like, we need somebody else. Wait, and like, as a bit of irony, you know what? Let's use Palpatine's own family against him, shall we? And then Ben was like the backup plan, I guess. I don't know, but that's why I think it's the story of how one family messed everything up for the Sith grand master plan. And yeah, Bemdemption. Yeah, it ain't Bemdemption, that's kind of weird. But Kylo does die. Now this is probably the scene I dislike the most. Not Ben's death, what was right before his death. So basically after Rey has defeated Palpatine and all that, big Force explosion, Palpatine is gone, but Rey's basically rendered catatonic. But Kylo climbs out of that pit he was thrown into, comes over, and he uses Force Heal to save Rey. It costs him his own life and he joins the Force, but he saves Rey. He uses, basically his last act is using what's truly a life-side power, using a bit of your own life essence to help save somebody else. Rey did that once with Kylo, she did that with that serpent creature. Now, Kylo is returning that favor, which truly saves Rey. He then becomes one with the Force, and then cut to where Leia died on that one planet. She becomes one with the Force. She does not become one with the Force until her son does. I found that very poetic. Why they went with that route, I don't know, but I really did like it. No, the bodies just disappear. Very much like we saw with Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Luke. Basically, all the characters who... I won't get to that, but you know where I was going. Except for Anakin. Anakin and Qui-Gon were both burnt. But yeah, we are that. Oh yeah, let's just talk about Palpatine. Even though I very much enjoyed the film, I do want to say, I didn't need to have Palpatine come back. I didn't need, but I liked what they did. Still don't know how he survived. I think it's supposed to be interpreted as some kind of, not necessarily cloning, but dark side ritual using his hate, his rage to keep him alive, and some other weird science-y and Force-related stuff. I don't know. But they do, but yeah. But we discovered that he's like the ultimate puppet master. Like, Snoke was a puppet of his. And that every voice Kylo has ever heard was Palpatine, including Vader's voice. Which, as soon as we learned that Palpatine was going to be in this film, it was Palpatine who was speaking through Vader's helmet, never Vader. And he was pretending to have Vader's voice in all of this as well. So there is that. And what's the word I'm looking for here? I did kind of wish maybe Snoke wasn't revealed to be like such a literal puppet of Palpatine. Like, he has like a vat of Snokes. Like, apparently he was growing this. So, yeah. But I kind of wish, Snoke was just some figure that Palpatine just puppeted more traditionally. Maybe using the Force and all that, but like, we learned Snoke was like a literal puppet of Palpatine in all but terms. And yeah, there was that, of course. And of course he wanted Rey to strike him down. He was goading Luke to strike him down too in Return of the Jedi. To turn Luke to the dark side. So this idea of striking down a Sith in anger is what leads to somebody is a way to join the dark side. What happens in Revenge of the Sith? Anakin strikes down Palpatine. He strikes down, not Palpatine, sorry, Count Dooku. He literally strikes down Dooku. Dooku's defenses. And what does he do? He beheads Dooku. He becomes a Sith later in that movie. So that, and then, now you gotta ask, why didn't that happen to Obi-Wan? He killed Maul. Well, not the first time. And the second time, well, he ended Maul's suffering. He didn't strike Maul down in anger. No. Maybe the first time, but Maul's rage that kept him alive might have saved Obi-Wan from the dark side. Which is a weird way of putting it, but yeah, granted, Maul was never considered Sith by Palpatine as much, even though Maul considered himself Sith. That was a whole nother matter though, but like striking a dark side user down in rage seems to be a path to the dark side. But when in Rebels, when Obi-Wan finishes Maul off, it's quick, he's calm, he's not doing it in rage, he's doing it to protect Luke, who he sees as the chosen one. I think we can talk about the chosen one a lot, but the chosen one prophecy definitely was misinterpreted, or maybe it was. Anakin was supposed to be the one. He failed, so the Force was like, well, his son might work. Okay, he did it somewhat, but we still need to finish it up. Wait a second, our initial choice is the head now. He's one with us. Let's give everything that we gave him to this girl. Who happens to be the daughter, the person who needs to be destroyed. Yeah, it should work. And does. But yeah, we could discuss the Chosen One prophecy endlessly, and I think I've alluded to what I saw about that earlier. But yeah, going back to that Obi-Wan thing real quick, well, he doesn't strike Maul down in anger that final time. He actually ends Maul's suffering. Like, I don't think Maul actually went to Tatooine to finish off Obi-Wan. I think he was expecting Obi-Wan to defeat him. It's like he wanted it to end. Which I think is kind of interesting. Maul wanted to basically to end it, but he couldn't think of any other way. Like, he knew he needed Obi-Wan to end it. Which I think is kind of interesting, but that's just a side note, but I think that's why Obi-Wan didn't succumb to the dark side. Like Anakin did. They both struck down the Sith, but one of the Sith survived, and the other one didn't. Luke never struck down Vader or Palpatine. He just basically put Anakin in the position to be redeemed. And granted, Anakin didn't strike down the Emperor himself either, but he defeated the Emperor and probably severely delayed the Emperor's plans, which was probably just to burn the galaxy, as it's suggested in this film. Was that Lucas's intention? I don't know, but I do kind of like the idea of what is going, or at least a plan of his. Palpatine has plans upon plans. He actually probably did have a plan, like, what if Vader's redeemed and supposed to be down his shaft? Yeah, I'll just go out to the unknown regions and mess everything up again. I don't know. But yeah, this film shows to me that the Skywalkers are not them who messed up the galaxy, but a family who saved the galaxy by messing up the Sith's plans. And let's actually talk about that one moment where Rey is able to get up and start deflecting the Emperor's lightning that he's using against the Resistance fleet. How does she do it? She calms herself, reaches out to the light side of the Force, and all the Jedi who've come before her, literally, we hear their voices. I'm pretty sure Luke was one of those voices, I can't remember, but for sure we had Anakin and Obi-Wan and Yoda. Those are the ones I picked up for sure. And actually, some of those are like near direct copies of the lines from The Force Awakens. In The Force Awakens, Obi-Wan says to Rey that her Force vision after touching Skywalker's lightsaber is, Rey, these are your first steps. I don't know if it's Ewan McGregor, of course. I don't know if he says that in the Rise of Skywalker, Rey, these are your first steps, but basically, Rey, take your steps. And there was one of the ending track in The Force Awakens was called Jedi Steps. Let's see where this is going. It's definitely a lot of, I think, JJ's ideas is what informed his conclusion of The Rise of Skywalker rather than Rian Johnson's ideas. But some people may feel like JJ may have, in a vacuum, disregarded The Last Jedi. I don't think so. Like, he clearly took parts of it. Like, and the idea of like, Kylo didn't know Rey was Palpatine's daughter. Oh, not daughter, granddaughter. He did not know that. So when he says to Rey, her parents were nothing, that's what he knew. He didn't know anything better. It's not from a certain point of view. He was just misinformed as well as Rey. Though apparently Leia knew. Luke said that. And whether that's true or not, I actually don't know. I sincerely don't know. Maybe would Luke have told a white lie to comfort Rey? I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know, but I kind of like the idea that maybe what Rey needed was to basically get her trust restored in the Force, and by saying that Leia trained Rey the best she could, despite even knowing who Rey was, might have been what was needed. The idea of maybe a white lie for the greater good, it's an interesting idea. I don't know if that's what was intended, but that's kind of how I'm taking it. Or it was very literal and the truth, which again, might make it even more impactful. But going back to those voices when basically all the Jedi before are encouraging her to go and take the step. Now some people, and we know the truth, like 1,000 generations of Jedi now live in you. Is this metaphorical or actual pursuit of the Force? Palpatine definitely thinks all the Sith live in him, and I kind of like the idea for the Sith, that all the Sith live in each other. The idea of the Sith will, the Sith apprentice will crave the power, so will strike down their master and gain that power, so will gain all the Sith before them. So that is actually something to consider, but with the Jedi, it's not that the Jedi are inhabiting the Rey, but it's that they are standing with her and giving her strength, emotional, like Force strength. They're with her. They're standing with her as she takes her steps to become a Jedi steps, if you will. But let's go over the voices. We got Anakin, Hayden Christensen. It's all voice work. All these are voice work. None of them actually appeared in the film. I wish Yoda did. I wish after. I'm just going to jump back real quick. When Luke raised the X-Wing out of the ocean of Actor, I wish, because he gave us that look that, yes, I did it finally. I've overcome my fears. But I kind of wish Yoda pop in, like something like, now you understand. Something along those lines, like, and Rey could be like, who's this? Oh, Grandmaster Yoda. I wish they had thrown Yoda in there. They had the puppet from The Last Jedi. They could have used it again. Just the idea that I wish they had it. Oh, at least thrown in Yoda's kind of chuckle in there. That would have been good too. But alas, they did not do it for that scene. But I did like how they got Yoda in here. They got Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Yoda. The ones we would have expected. And most people were going to be, well, if you recognize this voice from The Phantom Menace, you would, but Qui-Gon Jinn, the people who were expecting the Force Ghost kind of like myself, were expecting Qui-Gon to be among them. I was surprised Leia was not among that, but then she hadn't become one of the Force yet because her son hadn't yet. And then we got some other characters. The only one of these who spoke in the films of significant amount were Mace Windu. Yes, Mace Windu. I actually went to check the credits again. I actually searched online just to make sure I had all these voices down. And we get some other characters too, not just Mace Windu. Okay, understandable, but we also get Luminara Unduli, which I was actually kind of surprised at. I feel like she wasn't a Jedi that we got a whole lot of attention of. Sure, she got a few episodes in the Clone Wars and she was mentioned in Rebels, but I feel like she wasn't one of those Jedi, that we got a lot of attention. Plo Koon, on the other hand, would have made sense. Granted, that might have been because Dave Filoni liked the character, so he kept on appearing in the Clone Wars, so that's always a possibility. Which they didn't. But they got 2 animation exclusive characters on here. So we have 2 animation characters who have officially made the jump to live action using only the voices. Kanan Jarrus and Ahsoka. Yes. So I think it's safe to say that Ahsoka is dead by the time of the Rise of Skywalker. Understandable. But we didn't hear Ezra's voice. He could be alive. Okay, I'll stop saying that. But yeah. Kanan Jarrus and Ahsoka Tano, 2 animation characters. Now, in Rebels, there is a line where Ahsoka Tano says, "I am no Jedi," but is she? Is that true? Because she has some time to think about this, so she could reevaluate. I do hope we get a comic of her and Luke Skywalker having some conversation, and maybe Sol Rex in there too, like after they're celebrating the battle and something near the end of the Galactic Civil War, and they all meet each other finally, and they just have a conversation, and they tell Luke embarrassing stories about his father. I would have loved that. Oh, speaking of which, I hope to have a video coming out sometime in January about who knew Vader's identity as Anakin. But that's another topic. Really another topic. But we get all those characters to encourage Rey to stand up and face the Emperor. To face him. To not strike him down, but to face him in the light side of the Force. Which is what undoes Palpatine. His overconfidence was his undoing. To borrow a term. And so let's talk about names. Rey, which is her family name. As I said earlier, Pasana, Loka asks her family name, and she responds, just Rey, meaning she has no family name. Then she discovers that she's a Palpatine, Rey Palpatine. She does not accept that. She comes, I think, close at some points, but she just doesn't. She's ashamed of it. We see this throughout the film. She has to overcome her shame and her fear. She does. And she is able to defeat the Emperor. She adopts a name. The Rise of Skywalker. Okay, that's not her. She doesn't adopt the Rise of Skywalker. She adopts Skywalker, and this comes to the ending. It's like literally the last thing. But she adopts a family name. She adopts herself into the Skywalker family, which we see at the end. And this is like the very end, last scene. So I'm going to jump ahead a bit about the ending. So after the... Oh, before I get any further, I should talk about them defeating the fleet. And all these just ships, people who are there to help them defeat the Sith and Palpatine's fleet once and for all. And the Sith troopers work for Palpatine. They have red. All the officers have red markings. It's interesting to say the least, but they do that. And the Legion General Pride is like loyal to Palpatine without end. Like, and in an interview before the Rise of Skywalker, the actor who played Pride literally said he's just pure evil, like no redeeming factors whatsoever. Hux hates Kylo Ren, so he leaks information to the Resistance and Pride kills him for it. Seriously. When they're on the Star Destroyer, rescuing Chewbacca, they get captured and are going to be executed. 3 stormtroopers there, and General Hux. General Hux says, I would like to do this myself. And then we hear 3 shots, and our heroes are still alive, and Hux has done it. And he tells Finn to shoot him in the leg, in the arms, but Finn shoots his leg. Interesting, I don't know why. But to basically, so he doesn't raise suspicion. He's a terrible spy. But yeah, he rats out the First Order's Kylo Ren. He wants Kylo Ren defeated. Yeah, it shows how they don't get along, and that ends up being Hux's demise. Hux is killed! But yeah, let's just jump ahead to that final battle. They do a cavalry charge on the deck of the command destroyer, and where General Pride is on, and well, General Pride orders jam their speeders. And the officer responds, they're not using speeders. And we get a cavalry charge. And it's basically ex-stormtroopers who are doing it. Ex-First Order stormtroopers. Finn and Jaina are doing it. And they actually destroy the sensor or navigational array on that ship, so that way the ships are stuck there with their shields deactivated, so the Resistance can fire on each of the cannons and destroy all the imp ones with those super weapons on them. And of course, it is a very snap dive. I was not expecting that. I figure that, but that was to show how high the stakes for the Resistance, because at that point, reinforcements had not yet come. Lando and Chewbacca were given the job of finding reinforcements from the galaxy, and they get a fleet. We see the Ghost there. The Colossus was supposedly there. I did not spot it, but I think Exarch Status said he spotted it. But yeah, we get a huge fleet. We got Mon Cala ships. We got a bunch. We have, like, every probably style ship we have ever seen. A-Wings, B-Wings, which the Resistance are using. Probably X-Wings. What else do we have? I saw at least one U-Wing, Y-Wings. I didn't see any Clone Wars airships, but there had to have been some scatters there. Most CR-90 Corvettes, freighters. It's like every possible ship they could acquire, they had. And they come in and destroy all those ships. So they needed a lot of ships, but they actually had the tactical advantage because no shields, and they had a very specific target, and they win. And after the ground forces retreat from the deck of the Star Destroyer, because originally there was a ground target, but the First Order Sith, or the Final Order, as Palpatine's calling his final plan, is that, well, what's the word I'm looking for? Is the General probably basically recognizes, oh, they're going after our navigation right. Transfer it all to our ship. Smart. It actually is kind of smart. But they land on the ship, uses space horses instead of speeders, and they're able to do it. Now, Jaina and Finn stay behind and commandeer a turret by hacking into it somehow in order to destroy the command deck of that command ship. And they do. Takes it down. And this is, and then Poe tries to fly in to rescue them, but then it cuts to like, this ship is faster, and the Millennium Falcon rescues them instead. Which I thought was neat, like show how fast the Falcon really, really is. And then we get the celebration scene of the ending. Oh, before I get, Wedge was in there. I did this when I saw Wedge. I was so happy to see Wedge. Oh, what was that? Lawson. Dennis Lawson. Who's related to Ewan McGregor, by the way. Just some interesting trivia there. Uncle, some kind of uncle. But yeah, as in Lawson's an uncle of Ewan McGregor. I don't know how direct of an uncle, but he's an uncle of a form. There's different types of uncle. Look up genealogy and that stuff. But yeah, it's like they get a celebration scene on the base planet. They got a CR-90 Corvette, which I hope is a Tantive V4, as they never said. But in my opinion, that's the perfect ship for the Resistance to base their command center out of on this planet. It's a ship that we first saw, so it should be in the last film. And I hope it was. I sincerely hope it was. Or I should say Maz Kanata is also here. I think they probably used Maz as a surrogate for Leia in this film, since they had limited footage in that to work with for Leia. So I think they used Maz to kind of help. Is that somebody who's wise in the Force and all that? And we learned that Leia did train with Luke as well. And I think they used Maz as a surrogate for Leia's role, which I think helped, you know, conversations off. It's like, and like every line of Leia is a very necessary line. Like, all the unnecessary Leia parts I felt like are given to Maz or other characters. More or less. We'll talk about Leia later, but they're all celebrating, you know, hugging, celebrating all that. But I still can't believe they killed Snap. I still can't believe they did that. I was never that close to that character. But yeah. So I kind of wish Paul communicated to Wedge and said, like, your stepson, he's not coming back. I just wish they had done that for a sad moment. I just wish. And, read Resistance Reborn, if you want to understand that, or the Aftermath trilogy, both will work. But yeah, so they're celebrating. Oh, I should also say there's this character, I forget the character's name, but connected to Poe's past, which there's some inconsistencies now. Apparently he was a spice runner before he joined the Resistance, but another sources state that he was with the New Republic Navy. I don't know, but I have a good reconciliation. He joined the New Republic Navy so he could join the Resistance. It seems like a weird way of doing it, but no, when he left his job as Spice Runner with this other character who, like, they seem to have a thing for each other, but not quite. and they like 2 or 3 times they more directly do it, like about like asking, do you want to kiss or something like that, and each time she says like basically no, and then at the end they do it just with body language, and then he goes to hug Ray and Ray and Finn, sorry. But how they hug is interesting, which I think plays a lot into the love triangle some people have suspected between them. Some people pair Finn and Poe, some people pair Finn and Ray, some people even do Poe and Ray. I was never into really any of them, but they put Finn between Poe and Ray, I think to allude to that idea. I don't know. Oh, I forgot about my one gripe way back. Basically, it supported what Raylo thought. Ray and Ben kissed. Which, at least it was after Ben Demption. If it was before Ben Demption, I would not have tolerated it. I just rolled my eyes like, oh really, they did that? And then I moved on with nothing. But then now let's jump back to actually the end celebration. And we'll cut to shots of different planets. Much like in Return of the Jedi, but it's done differently. I only remember 2 of the planets, but what we see is a First Order Star Destroyer, the Resurgent class, basically falling down to the surface of the planet because it's been defeated. We see Bespin in Cloud City. I thought that was a very good choice, and Endor, and 2 Ewoks. And for some reason, I think one might be Wicket in the Ewok next year. Might have been his son. I don't know if that's confirmed, but that's my speculation. I think we had a few other planets. I thought we didn't get Tatooine, to my knowledge. Well, we did get Tatooine, but not in that scene. I'll get to that later. The only time Tatooine has appeared in this saga, in this trilogy. But there was like 1 or 2 other planets. I wish one of those planets had been a prequel era planet, like Naboo would have been a good one in my opinion. But those are just my thoughts. And for all I know, I could be forgetting a planet. I think they might have done Pisana too, but I forget. I have to rewatch that scene someday so I can remember. But then we go to Tatooine, and BB-8 accompanies. We know for sure BB-8 accompanies Rey to Tatooine to the Law's homestead. It's been abandoned since Luke left it behind after stormtroopers murdered his aunt and uncle. Imperial stormtroopers, not First Order. That'd be a weird thing. I am kind of curious, like, who was aboard the Falcon. I bet Chewbacca was aboard the Falcon. But, yeah. Or I should say, when they return from their mission after Chewie's been rescued and they discover and all that, and Rey goes off on her own a little bit. When they return to their base, Chewbacca cries, bawls, basically, Wookiee mourning. When he learned that Leia is gone, past died. And that's the moment I cried in that film. Not the ending, not any other point. That is the moment. Not when first, it was not until Chewie reacted that I teared up. Even thinking about it, it kind of tears me up. But yeah, that's the moment that did it for me. That was I think I mentioned that earlier, but I'm mentioning it again. It is the emotional moment. Chewie lost his old friends, Han, the nuke, now Leia, all gone. He's lost all his friends from the original trilogy. His family, if you will. He probably still has family on Kashyyyk, but, his non-Wookiee family. And Wookiees live a long time, so this does happen to them. But yeah, that just made it for me. Yeah. Anyhow, let's go back. Tatooine. Rey has Anakin/Luke's lightsaber. Let's say Luke's lightsaber more than anything in the visual language we were communicating. And Leia's lightsaber. She goes down into the homestead. We get a little callback to The Force Awakens. She finds a piece of sheet metal and uses it to slide down the sand dune that has basically formed on the side of the residence. because of it was abandoned. You know, we get the shot of the dining area, and she goes in there, grabs the cloth, puts the lightsabers in, folds it up, ties it. She comes back out, and she puts it on the sand and uses the Force to bury those lightsabers. And I think that was done symbolically. Not to hide those lightsabers, but to be a representative of the burial of Luke and Leia, Anakin's twins. Now, and I think because that lightsaber was also Anakin Skywalker, he's also being buried there at the same time symbolically, and he's gonna be by his mother's grave. The mother that, yeah, he missed, that part of his fears for. But yeah, that's how it ended. And then an old lady appears. Who cares who she is? I actually don't. But obviously she's an old-time resident of Tatooine, and she asks Rey some questions about it, and it's basically confirmed that the Lost Homestead has been abandoned since A New Hope. Oh, that's probably like 40 years at this point now, I'm guessing, in universe. Maybe 30, but a long time. And she asks Rey what her name is. Rey responds, Rey, thinks for a moment, looks at, and there's the Force ghosts of Luke and Leia. And Leia's wearing her princess outfit, clearly. It's a white outfit. The outfit we've seen her in. And Luke, it was his Jedi robes, which they kind of had done the farm boy outfit, but I understand why they didn't. But no, in how they would have appeared in the film if Carrie Fisher was still alive. Still don't... I feel like they got that footage, though, from someplace else. I don't think that was shot for The Force Awakens. Maybe it was shot for The Last Jedi, I don't know, but... Who knows? And she returns back to the lady and responds, Skywalker. In that moment, she adopts the Skywalkers as her family. Which I think is it's symbolic. It's an adopted name. Which I think works out very nicely. And it ends where it all began. In multiple ways, I said. We started the saga on Tatooine. We ended it on Tatooine. I know the prequels didn't start on Tatooine per se, but the saga did. Remember, Episode 4 was the first film release. And we start above Tatooine. That's where the story starts. And then we were told the lead up to the story in the prequels. Now, I think that one actually kind of good for the prequels, but that's a whole other matter. I could talk about how to improve the prequels. But it started where it all began, and it started where it all began in another way. One female to one female. Think about that. Shmi Skywalker to now Rey Skywalker. It's like, it so rhymes, like, to all the people who don't like female representation, well, first of all, goodbye, I don't want you here. But what that shows is that this family has gone full circle now. We've gone from the matriarch to the surviving female of the family, who's only adopted into the family, nothing else. So if Ben had survived, then it might have been a little more permanent. But she adopted Skywalker as her name. And I think it fits nicely. We have a character, no last name, adopts Skywalker as her last name. A last name that if she ever met somebody married, and well, she could keep her last name. We actually do see that often in Star Wars, more often I think, and that's more common in real life. But for folks on traditionally, she would lose her last name. But let's also remember, Shmi started, and that was her last name to begin with, her family name to begin with. And so yeah, I might be spitballing here and not making sense, but I do like the idea we go for a female on Tatooine who has no one, who relies just on herself, and maybe her son, but is a Skywalker by herself to a Skywalker by herself. But there's a difference. One's adopted into the family. One's the beginning of the family. So maybe the story should be called Shmi Skywalker and how her family saves the galaxy. Think about that, will you? Her family did save the galaxy. We have no idea if she had any other family, but it was her descendants who saved the galaxy. One of them by saving the descendant of Palpatine. It really is poetic. It rhymes, if you will. And that was actually a big motif that I think George did want to include in his telling of Star Wars. So we're getting nearly to the 1 hour 20-minute mark. We might be past that. So yeah, this is a long review, but I think it is worth it. And there's, oh man, probably so much more to talk about, really. There is so much more to talk about. I am glad that we may have gotten close to pairing two characters together, but they didn't do it. But I did like how they did it, even though it's kind of sad and tragic with Ben dying. Would have loved to see him deal with the repercussions of his actions. Actually deal with them to the galaxy as a whole. But I can understand why they didn't want to do that, though that would have made a more made a compelling story. But at the same time, the Skywalker saga needed to end. Palpatine said so himself. And while I don't normally take the word of Palpatine for everything, but there's something to be said that the story needed to end, and it has. And I think very satisfyingly. Now, do you agree with me on this all? Who knows, but I would love to hear you down in the comments. But before I do that, now some other random thoughts. Could Jaina be related to Lando Calrissian? It's not said outright. When Jaina and Finn were first talking, I just wanted to go back to there real quick. They were like, I just like, wait, are they going to discover they're related? But they discover that they're both ex-stormtroopers who defied the programming on a feeling. And they actually have some conversations about that, like a feeling in the Force and all that. And at the end, in the celebration, Jaina comes up to Lando Calrissian and asks him, General, where are you from? What system? He responds with a system, and he asks, where are you from? And she responds, I don't know. And then responds, we can find out together. That makes me wonder, could she be related to Lando in some form? I don't think they're going to go that direction. I think they just want to tease that, but I think that'd be a good story. Helping all those former Order stormtroopers who've broken from the program and discover where they come from. I don't know. I think they chose Lando for that, more not to imply familial relationships. That would be a neat idea, but I think they did that more to, I think the word I'm looking for is to have it be one of the original characters, one of the original main characters being the one who say, we'll help you out, basically. Which I think is kind of neat. And before you get, I was talking about how Chewbacca has lost everyone in all his friends. Lando was never a close friend of Chewbacca. As I said, his oldest and closest friends. His family, in other words. Lando, I think, might have been a friend for Chewbacca, but they were never, like, family. And that, I think, is the key. They were never family. I know I got so much more to say about the film. And there's probably so much I am missing. I've probably gone over half the length of the film by now in this review. And I'm just trying to make sure before I shut this all down that I've gotten everything else. I know probably a lot of you have already left at this point. I understand it. It's a long review after all. But yeah. So my last thoughts before any closing thoughts is I enjoyed it. And these are now my closing thoughts. So I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and I would love to hear from you. I think I might have mentioned that earlier, but yes, I would love to hear from you. What did you think of the film? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Do you have any complaints? And all that stuff. Now, where would I put this in the scope of the trilogy? Well, I still think The Force Awakens is my favorite film. I'm thinking I'm going Force Awakens, The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi. I need to refresh my mind on Last Jedi and go through and Rise of Skywalker because it's been a while since I've watched them. I didn't have time to do a proper watching, so I just watched The Force Awakens because it was longer ago. And that, but yeah, I think it's my second favorite film as the word I'm looking for is as a trilogy. Now, I would say as a Star Wars film as a whole, it's a bit mediocre. Definitely all three original trilogy films in my opinion are higher than it, but I think it's better than the prequel trilogy films. Like, there's two ways of ranking films: quality and enjoyment. So basically, you can say quality versus quantity, I guess. But it's a good film for Star Wars. It's middle of the road for the sequel trilogy, in my opinion. I thought all the films in the sequel trilogy were great. I would say it's probably about in the middle as a whole for a Star Wars film. No, it was good. I enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite. But it's not my least favorite either. I'll actually probably next year come out with a ranking of all the saga films and explaining it all. But I'm going to say this: if I'm grading as a critic, it's going to be a bit lower down. The Last Jedi would take over it in terms of filmmaking, but in terms of enjoyment, this one is a bit higher for me. So something to ponder is like the two films could easily be like Star Wars A New Hope and Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back for me. Like, I never know which one is going to be better than the other. Like, it can change from day to day kind of idea. Like, enjoy them both immensely, but some days I'd rather have this one than that one. Just some random thoughts, I suppose. But yeah, overall, a good film. It's not the best in the Star Wars saga, but in my opinion, it is better quality than the prequel films. Quality across the board, even from filmmaking, only one I think is actually better than it filmmaking wise. I'll do those lists for next year, so stay tuned. But yeah, got the lightsaber here, Luke's lightsaber. So I think it's time to end. I said I'd come back to this at the beginning. I believe was an hour and 30 minutes ago recording time, though not for you because I'm going to trim it down some. All my long pauses as I collected my thoughts and such. But yeah, I'm ending it where it all began, with this lightsaber. Quite literally this lightsaber, in fact. It was there when Anakin fell to the dark side. It was there when Sidious was finally defeated once and for all. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into my review. Still will be covering Star Wars, not just because this film is gone doesn't mean I'm done with Star Wars. Oh no, definitely not. Still got another episode of The Mandalorian. Got some Star Wars Resistance coming out soon. I got some look back videos I hope to do soon. Got 2 ranked videos coming out. A watch order video probably. And got whatever comes next. Got the Obi-Wan series, got books. Got my X-Wing book club, which will be coming back next year. And when I'm done with that, I may even do another book club. Gotta wait and see, but yes, that's all. That's all I have for you today. Besides, thank you for staying with me through all this time. Not just on my channel, but throughout this entirely super long review as well. Considering it's still shorter than the film, but yes, I have a lot of thoughts to say on this, and well, I think I said them. Though, who knows, I might do an addendum video. I did that for Rogue One, I know. And there's a few others. I think I did that with The Last Jedi too. But yes, that's really all I have for you today. There's a like button down there, so please like this video or dislike it if you didn't enjoy it. You know the spiel. There's a subscribe button to subscribe to my channel, which please do so. There's also the bell so you can be notified. And of course, Patreon. Please do consider supporting me on Patreon. It does help make my videos possible. I'm actually having a goal on there right now, which is to purchase a new camera and a lapel mic. So that's a microphone I can clip on here, better quality than what my camcorder can give me currently. Also why I want a camera. I may not be up when this video comes out, but it will be up shortly before the end of the year. What that goal is, certain number per month. But yeah, there's other ways to support me too, not just on Patreon. One-time gift via PayPal you can do. There's also my merch store as well through TeePublic. Links in the description for all that. Please consider joining my Discord server. I will be talking about the film there in my Rise of Skywalker chat. So please do check that out. I want to make that server more active, and I will encourage you to come and join me. And also I am fairly active on the Star Wars Refuge Discord server as well, if you want to check out that server as well. Yeah, I'm plugging them, but search them up. You can do it. Port Haven or the Star Wars Refuge, they're the same thing. But yeah, a lot has come to pass. and a lot is done. So, thank you for watching my review, and as always, have a good day, or good night, wherever you are. May the Force be with you, always.